Welcome to the Tansson Talk Show. I am Brandon K. Hedgepeth, the host of the show and a graduate student studying lifespan and digital communication. On our show, our mission is to help bring people together through the stories of others. And today, I'm very excited to be speaking with Kiannah. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I'm excited to speak with you again. I know it had been a few years since you were on my previous show, and I'm so glad to have you back on in my new one.
Yeah, I was in school struggling then.
I'm gonna go. And speaking of, that back then and being in school now, are you able to do us the grand pleasure of reintroducing yourself here?
Yes, my name is Kiannah McClure. I am a recent graduate from Old Dominion University, and I now live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, first of all, I hope that you enjoy your time in Atlanta now.
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm glad I made the move, but I guess we can get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited to get into that. And of course, a late congratulations on your official graduation from Old Dominion University. How does it feel to officially be a graduate?
It was weird. I always see those posts saying, like, you finish your last assignment on a random Tuesday, and that's literally how it is. You finish your last assignment, and then you're like a graduate student. So it's like weird, but I'm like happy I did it. So
I'm so glad. And yeah, I remember when I finished my undergraduate degree back in December of 2022. It was really just odd and anticlimactic for me because it's just like, oh, I'm done. But at the same time, I don't feel done, especially for me as going into graduate school. It's just like I feel like I'm doing the same sort of routine I was doing, but like at a different level. So it's like, at least for you, like you've at least left the state lines, and so, you know, at least you have a different routine.
right, yeah, it's not the same anymore.
But yeah, but going back into that, so how was like, I guess your final year of, your time at ODU, or actually your final 2 years since the last time we spoke?
It was really good. I think it was eye opening. I did some internships. Well, I did one. They took me back like twice. I did an internship with Studio Center, so it was like it gave me the ability to see like the working world, I guess you can say, instead of just seeing like a whole bunch of schoolwork and assignments. I think that really helped me like make my decision to move. So yeah, the last year, 2 years was really good in my opinion.
That is really good to hear that it went well. And yeah, and the last time we spoke was November 21st of 2021 on here. So it definitely has been a moment.
Oh gosh, that was a long time ago. I that was a different person.
And yeah, but speaking onto that though, so what were you say have been some of the experiences in your final years that really shaped who you were when you graduated?
um, I don't know. I think honestly, like graduation was like really like big for me. Like even just standing out there and like going through the ceremony and everything, it was like huge. And I think that moment is when everything changed because I was like, this is like the end. I'm done with the schoolwork. I'm starting my adult life. Like I think that's where everything like changed for me. But while I was in school, I don't think it clicked. So
Yeah, but I mean, but that makes perfect sense though. And yeah, it's one of those things like you keep hearing about graduation, like all of these 4 years, it's just like, and then you have to do this for graduation. You got to prepare that. And then it's like you're in graduation, you're like, oh, this is the thing that they've been talking about. And I guess that's it.
yeah, it was weird. And then it was like I think I was at graduation for like I want to say like an hour and a half, and then people just started leaving because we were in the front row. So it was just a weird day. And yeah,
I can imagine. At the time of your graduation, did you know what you wanted to do afterwards?
yeah. So I think I always wanted to go to Atlanta, but I think the let's say like a week or two before, I had talked to the CEO of Studio Center, and we were just talking about life and like, like me being young, like which path does he think I should take because he's seen like my work and everything like that. So I was like, should I stay here and like work at Studio Center, or should I go to Atlanta and like try to do my production dreams? And he was like, you're young, just go to Atlanta. And I was like, are you sure? But that was like the moment I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do it because he was telling me I'm young, like, and then like I can always like do different career paths. I'm not like 90 years old, so I think yeah, that's when I was like, oh, I'm going to Atlanta, and that's when I like made my decision with everything, like 2 weeks before graduation.
Well, nevertheless, it does seem like it worked out for you.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
When you decide to head to Atlanta, Georgia, which actually, let me take a step back. So since you said that it always been a dream of yours to just head to Atlanta, did you know what you wanted to do in Atlanta, or was that just an arbitrary place that you had picked out, or what does Atlanta mean to you?
Yeah, so I think when I was younger, I think I talked about this before, but when I was younger, I had like a little iPod and I used to do like fake newscasts and like talk about the weather. I used to have vlogs. And going into high school, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but there's this video production class that I saw, and I was like, I'm just going to do it for extra credits. But it ended up, showing me what I really wanted to do with my life. So I took that class, and then I was like, thinking like where did I want to go? And I don't know why I always thought Atlanta. My dad is from Tennessee, so we've been here before, and it's like the city life. And I don't want to go to Washington D.C. So I was like, what's the next city I know? And it was Atlanta. And I think Atlanta also is, our culture. Like it's just different from Virginia, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something different.
Well, that makes perfect sense though. And so overall, like when did you officially like make the move from, where you were in Virginia to Atlanta?
Yeah, so I wanted to save up a little bit more money before I made my move. So I think it October, like the second week of October, I finally moved. So I graduated in May, and then yeah, I waited like 2 months, and then I moved, or 3 months, two. Yeah.
And so overall, like, how did you spend like at the time like saving up money and and sort of like reorienting yourself without having to like deal with college stuff? You no longer have random due dates from professors or anything of that nature to deal with.
Yeah, it was weird. I want to say like the third week of graduation it finally set in. I was like, I don't have to like reschedule classes or like anything like that. I worked at a restaurant. I was going to work at a restaurant every day. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, this is life. Like going to work every day, 9 to 5. It was like a reset, but I guess it was good in a way. I didn't have to worry about any work or professors, so it was okay.
Well, that is, good to hear. And of course, I do know that, in your, I guess going back a little further, though, is that I do know, of course, that while you were at ODU, you were the general manager for WODU Studios. And how was that experience for you? Because I know you were just a few months into your position when we last spoke in 2021. But now that, that you have completed your time, have graduated, and I believe you were in the position for 2 years, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I really liked it. I liked interacting with all the directors. I think we had a fun time. It was always an experience when I came in the office. I don't know what was going on every day, but it was fun. I think it really taught me like leadership out of everything, and how to care for other people being like the top person. So yeah, I think it really taught me how to stand my ground.
That's good to hear. And of course, I know before that that you were the promotions director. But how'd you, get into WODU as a whole?
So I came to college wanting to do like production like right out of the gate, but obviously you have to do like gen ed classes. So I was like taking science and like history, and I was like, when am I going to do production? And the advisors told me I'm not doing it until like junior senior year. I'm like, well, like what's the point? Like what am I going to learn like right now? So I started looking for clubs and stuff, and then I saw WOD Studios, and I had joined the promotions. I kind of joined because at the time the promotions director name was Kiannah. So I was like, oh my gosh, my name's Kiannah. Let's like work together. So that's how that started. And then, yeah, I just went up from there.
That's pretty cool, though. That that you were a Kiana being able to work for another Kiana. And that I mean, it's like that was made to happen.
Right. It was.
And so so I know in your transition from going to just helping out promotions, then to becoming promotions director and so on. I know at some point in the midst of there, I don't know the exact point. We did have the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, and so how did that affect everything? And had you originally wanted to keep going up the ladder for WODU?
I would say it was really tough. I think like right when they said like pack up your stuff and we have to go home, everybody was still like, it's okay, like we're gonna be okay, the organization's gonna be okay, but it wasn't. um, Everything like went downhill after that. I think like the next semester we had like 5 people joining our meetings, if that. So everything just went downhill. But I kind of assumed that was going to happen. Nobody was really wanting to hop online and like talk to organizations at the time. Everybody was kind of in their own head and, at home with their families trying to figure everything out. So I understood it, but yeah, it was a lot.
I would imagine as such. And and you originally going for promotions director. Was that something that that you were always going to do as like the next step up, or or did it just sort of come to you and you took it, or how did that go for you?
Yeah, so since I was the under director for Kiana, it kind of just came to me. She said she was leaving her position, so I was like, let me do something with my life while I'm in college instead of just being under somebody else. So yeah, it just kind of came to me, and I thought it went really good. And I still do like social media managing now, so it really helped.
That's great to hear. And was the same sort of trajectory done with you going up to general manager, or was that more so a thing that you proactively like wanted to do?
No, that came to me as well. Um, the general manager at the time had came into the studio and was like, hey, like, I think you'd be really good for this position. I'm like, me? I'm like 19 years old. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't know about this. And she was like, no, like, you do work really good and this and that. And I was like, okay, maybe. So, yeah, I did the application process and the interview and stuff. And yeah, they ended up choosing me. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. So it worked out for the good.
Well, that's great to hear. And what would you say are like did anything like shock you coming into the position, or any like major experiences that you were not expecting, like heading into the position, especially like not just running the studio, being the chief executive for it, but but also too like you're in charge of all of the directors having to make sure like they show up to the meetings and do their work and everything else.
Yeah, like I said before, it really taught me leadership. So being able to not think of them as my friends when it comes down to business really like helped. Um, and I don't know, I think, yeah, just being able to tell the difference between friendship and like business, that really helped me all the time. Being able to like bring them in the office and talk to them as friends, and then being like, oh, you need to also do this. So I think, yeah, I think that really like was the differences I figured out.
Well, that's good. And of course now I know, of course you are several states away, but are you still in communication with the people at WODU?
Yeah, I do still talk to them because we tried finding a general manager, but last minute she ended up not deciding to go to Old Dominion University anymore. So I still have to go through interviews and stuff to find another general manager. So I am still talking to everybody. It's a long story, but
Would you have imagined that that despite being months removed from your your official position, that you are still like, I guess, a de facto person there?
I actually don't mind it because I love everybody so much. They're like my friends still, so I don't mind it. But no, I did not think I would still be dealing with WODU.
And so when a new person, officially comes in, which hopefully by the time this releases, but but are you going to be the one that officially does the transition?
So it would be the operations director. I would be helping a little bit, but yeah, it's operations director now.
And and I guess how does it feel knowing that like you? Because I presume like because well I know of course from speaking with you and having worked with you that you took great pride in trying to find a successor that could you know bring the studio to to its next phase and entering I believe year 50 of the studio actually and for 2024. And so I guess how does it feel for you knowing like I guess how much care and effort you put into this to I guess still not quite be there yet with handing off the reins.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of I don't know. It's like weird because everything happened unexpectedly, so I don't know what to think right now. But I think once we find that person, we're just you just know and you know. I feel like so once you just find that person that you know is going to be a leader and it's going to be able to help people, have friendships, but also the business aspect of it. I think they'll be fine, and they'll go many ways, many ways.
I'm so glad to hear it. And yeah, but heading back to the present day though. So I know that you have been pretty busy since you have officially, moved to Atlanta. And so are you able to give us the official updates to what have you been working on, over these past few months?
Okay, so right before my move, I actually got in a chance. Okay, well, I put my application in on Backstage. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's where actors and like crew can like put their applications in for productions going on. So I did an application for, I think, to help like a producer out. And the director reached out to me and he was like, well, I don't want you in this position, but would you mind like hopping on Zoom? And I was like, of course. So I got on Zoom with the director of the film and he was just telling me that he still wants me on board and stuff. He looked at my resume and thought, I was like a hard worker. So I got a position 2 weeks before I came to Atlanta. And I am communications manager for an upcoming film called Cowboy and Indian. It's a film about can't say too much, but it's about differences between like different cultures, I guess you can say, and like coming together and always thinking, like we're one, we're all people. So I'm really happy to like work on this with them, and I think it's a good thing for the world to see. So yeah, that's what I've been doing so far.
That is pretty cool. And yeah, and did you expect to I mean to be given this type of offer like before you even officially got to Atlanta?
No, I didn't. I was so nervous coming here because I was like, I have nothing. My mom was so nervous for me. She was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I was like, well, the production world, you just like when gigs come to you, that's when you do it. And she just couldn't wrap her head around it. But I was nervous too. I was like, I don't have a job. But yeah, that it's crazy. I had it 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks before, and I was like, okay, well now I'm set.
Yeah, that's like the perfect transition period for you.
Yeah, it was. And then I also do other gigs as well, so that helped too.
That's pretty cool. And so, since you mentioned that, of course, you do, other gigs while also working for, for that film, even though you can't, speak on it too much, though. So, I guess, how would you say, like, your overall general workflow is, like, with managing all the different stuff that you're working on?
It's a lot, kind of. It just depends on how long the gig is. Like some gigs I had for like 4 days, and others I've had for like a week. So I haven't had anything that's like months at a time, like working on like a different film other than the one I'm doing online. So right now it's manageable. And if I do have something come up, then I would just tell the director for the film I'm working for that, like I have to go do this for a while, but they're understanding.
That's good at least. And so while I don't know like how much you can really speak about some of the other types of gigs you're working on, but I guess for simplistic terms for what we can know, so like what type of gigs have you been mainly like working on or working towards?
Yeah, so I've done some PA work for short films. I actually did some PA work for a Sonic commercial. So I was able to see, like, I guess you can say, like, I don't know, like the real workforce and like an actual company instead of just like a friend. So I could see like the real workforce and like everybody come together. It was like crowded. I went to a real studio. So I don't know, that was cool. But yeah, I just done some of that work and then short film, music videos, and commercials. Yeah.
That's outstanding, though. That you're able to work on that. And would you say that you've been able to draw from your previous experiences, like, and bring it into what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think working or doing my internship at Studio Center really showed me like how to do the production assistant work. And then of course I've done my own like producing and directing work. So when I'm on set, I do talk about myself so other people know like, oh, I can reach out to her whenever I need help. But yeah, I think Studio Center really helped me with that. So, if people are looking for internships, I would say do it. I know some people in college don't like really doing internships, but it is really like vital if you want to see like the look into the real world instead of like just college. So I think, yeah, the internship really helped me.
That's pretty cool. And since I didn't ask about it previously, so how was the internship that you had at Studio Center, and and for anyone that is not familiar with Studio Center, are you able to tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do?
Yeah, so Studio Center is a company that helps other people or companies with like video. They have social media, they do audio, they do casting for you. They just do everything production, and it's just one package for people to use. And my role there was a video intern, so I was under the producers helping them like with casting or locations, or I would help the um, cinematographer with like setting up the studio, painting, taking stuff down. I just did little PA work, which taught me how to, go into the real world and do it.
That's great though that you were able to to have that sort of experience. And how long was that internship for you?
Oh gosh, I think I started September 2022. Yeah. So they kept me all year. That's yeah, I worked all year in my senior year with them.
That's pretty cool. And I think the year before that you were an intern for Wavy TV 10, if I remember correctly.
Yep, I was.
And so, out of curiosity, how was that experience for you? Because I think you had just, I think when we last spoke 2 years ago, you were like still in the midst of of that internship. But now that it's been finished for I think 2 years now for you. Like, how's that for you? Like in retrospect for you?
Yeah, I think it was nice seeing the news world, waking up every morning, going to work with the news people. It was fun. But I think it really showed me that I didn't want to do news. I didn't hear too many good things about being in the news world. And I had friends that were already in the news world that is not doing it anymore. So it really showed me the perspective of working in news, which made me make my decision on if I wanted to do it or not.
Well, for better or for worse, at least like experiences, you're able to learn from them, and I think it's just equally as important to figure out what you don't want to do. Because I mean, there's not necessarily much of a point of like, you know, chasing this one dream for something that you don't even want to begin with.
Yeah, I know. I was going back and forth my whole time in college. I feel like if I wanted to do news or if I wanted to just like help with video and like crew and stuff like that. So that really helped me out being able to do the internship.
That's good at least, and I think if I remember correctly, right before you officially walked the stage for graduation, that you were a part of a short film that you were working on, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so Studio Center, when you're an intern for video department, you get to create your own short film. And since I was with them for a year, I was able to create two. But yeah, so I did two short films with them. One of them actually was in the ODU like film festival, so I got to show my work off there. Yeah.
And so, how was the experience? I mean, I mean, not just one, but two short films, and within the span of your year internship. I mean, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. They had like guidelines and stuff like that, and I think I like totally did not read them. My short film was like 5 minutes. It was only supposed to be like 2 minutes. But they ended up helping me anyways. They really liked my ideas and saw my determination. And I think being able to make two with them, like with an actual company, I was able to learn how to direct and produce the right way. And like, it was really like good for me to learn from them and not try and do it on my own.
That's good, at least that I mean that you were able to, yeah, to do it with professionals and learn from them, and but yet also like take a bit of a lead yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun and they were always like right there by my side if I like wasn't doing something correctly or like needed help with anything. So, yeah, it was nice.
That's good. And so like what type of work were your two short films on, if we're allowed to know?
Yeah. So both of them were horror films. I'm really into horror films. I think my favorite director is probably Jordan Peele. I really like the twisted stuff or like the stuff where you have to think. The first one was kind of like not ghost, but just like the spiritual kind of thing. And then the second one was cult. So it was like culty vibes and yeah, like weird.
That's pretty cool though. And how long did it take for you to like to put together the, the two short films, and were you able to like learn from your experience and potential mistakes from the first one and guide it to the second one?
Yeah, I think I became a better director with the second one because the first one, you know, like your first time directing is always like nervous. You have to tell people what to do. And I'm like, can you go over here and do this? So I was nervous the first time. The second time I was like, oh, like I want you to do it this way and like acting it out with them and stuff. So that really like I think, yeah, learning how to be a director. Also the producing work too, like figuring out where I want the locations at and like what cast you need. So a lot of work went into it.
I would imagine as such, but I mean, definitely sounds like it worked out for you. And how was the ODU Film Fest that you entered the second one into?
Yeah, it was really cool. I saw everybody's work and I think everybody is so creative. I think anybody can make a short film. I think if you have an idea, then you can make a short film. Get your friends together, you know, make a film. It's so fun and it's not all about like the money and like what you can get out of it. It's just fun work and you'll always have it with you.
I love that, and and were you able to have some people come out to to support you and be there for the premiere?
Yeah, I think my whole family actually came. My whole family, and then some people from WOD Studios had came and watched some, and some of them actually had their films in there as well. So
That must be pretty cool, to I mean, to have your film up in display, not too long before graduation, and but also like see the work of some of your your friends and colleagues from WODU as well, and I'm sure that must have been an experience.
yeah, yeah, it was fun. Everybody was like sitting in their chairs, smiling, watching everybody else's films. So
That's outstanding. And would you say that, now having experienced, the time as director for two different short films of your own, how would you say that you've taken that experience into your production assistant PA work in the present day?
so when I'm on set as a PA, I don't really like to like talk to the director too much when they're in their zone because I know how it is. So if I do need something, I would just ask the assistant director and be like, "Oh, like maybe they should do this and this," and then they would be the ones to go to the director. So I think being able to use what I used before and using it on set and trying to help out in a way really helped, and people are really like grateful that another eye is on it that like knows.
And based off your experiences thus far, like how would you say like your progression, even in doing these different roles and building on top of them?
I could never say I thought of myself being like in this position right now. I'm so grateful. I really am. And, all the hard work I put into like school and everything is like showing. I still thank my video production teacher from high school. She was the one that got me to do all of this. And from there to now, like back in high school, I didn't even really know how to edit. My senior year of high school, I got my editing like certificate for Adobe, so that progression just is really amazing to me, like seeing in my life, like where I went.
I really love that sentiment from there to now, and and like what you're saying, and I mean, and that's really cool though that that you were able to take like some of these small experiences that you had, or well, rather big for you, but these experiences that you had early on, and just take it and continue to harness it and progress it forward.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so as of course 2024, the start of it is practically here. So like, what is so I guess what are some of the things that you are hoping to accomplish within 2024?
I'm hoping to obviously get more gigs, but you know, make my own production company, like working with gigs. That's what I want to do really bad. But I don't know which way I want to go because I'm also a social media manager. So I want to tie that into there somehow. But yeah, just making my own company, or not even a company, just like making people like, not making, but letting people know who I am and like what I can do for them.
Yeah, I mean, marketing yourself and promoting it. I mean, that practically take some of the skills from all of your previous positions and just like, putting it into a solid way that you can promote yourself and your own work.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good for me. Like this year is so stressful, graduating college, doing the move and everything. So hopefully I can just focus on myself and putting myself out there.
I love that. And so I know, of course, we've spoken a bit about, your move and everything that you'd been doing prior to graduation and of course now. But how has the personal progression, been for you? And like, what have you been up to when you're not behind a camera or social media work?
Yeah, so I did make the move with my boyfriend. So we've just been spending time together, seeing the city and everything. And he's always like been my supporter, and like we made this move together. Like he's also a barber, so he's trying to get people to know who he is too and stuff like that. So we're both like trying to put ourselves out there, and I think that's probably what we mostly do in our me time, trying to like promote ourselves or like talk ourselves up, like trying to be able to get people to know who we are.
And yeah, and having done various different promotion experiences from college to now and professionally, like, what would you say has been the biggest difference between trying to promote a brand versus promoting yourself?
I think it's harder to promote myself because when it comes down to like you and a piece of paper, when you're writing about yourself, you're like, where do I start? Like, hi, my name's Kiannah. I'm funny. Like, I don't know like what to put down, and I don't know. It's a little hard. I usually have my sister sometimes write my bio for me because she obviously knows everything about me. So she usually would be the one to write about me, and then I'll go in and fix anything that I think needs to be fixed. But doing it for a different brand is so much easier.
Yeah, I feel like the closer that you are to it, the harder it becomes, because it's like, especially like when you're speaking about like yourself and your own work, because it's like when you run it for a brand, you're like, well, you of course you want to highlight the amazing stuff that the brand does, and all of the amazing work. Like, you don't want to leave out the details. But when speaking about yourself, it's like, it's almost like, okay, what is informing, what's bragging? It's like, do people really need to know this? But like, it's like, no, it's like, this is your brand, like, make it happen.
Yeah, especially like with interviews. When I was doing interviews back in like college, when I thought I was going into like a 9 to 5, it was like weird. I'm like, why am I like gloating about myself? I'm like, is this wrong? It was just, yeah, it's a lot.
Would you say that you feel more comfortable with the process now?
Yeah, I think, especially because like doing the gigs I do, I think the film world and like our interviews are more like personal and not like, oh, what can you do on a computer? Like it's like different. So
That's good. And yeah, and now being like, like really immersed within this, would you say that, that you plan to like, to continue to stay in Atlanta, or in the few years, would you be open to like potentially like continue progressing forward and seeing whatever the world takes you?
yeah, I think I'm super young. I don't know. I think I look at the world as like I'm young and like I can just if I have a job, I'm good. But yeah, I do want to stay in film. I don't think I ever want to move anywhere else. I do want to like live in other places for like like a summer or something. But I don't ever want to like do film anywhere else. I wouldn't go to California. It's just too much. It's really pricey. There's a whole bunch of people doing film. I think it's just crazy over there. So I think staying in Atlanta is good for me.
Well, at least you get to stay on on Eastern time.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's it's really cool though. I mean, being able to hear your progression and and what you've been up to though, and yeah, and I mean, I'm so glad that you've been able to like identify your passions, but then not just like I mean sit there future plan it, but rather like go after right then right now because I mean if you have the time and you have the ability to do it, why not just go after your passions and goals?
Yeah, and I think everybody should live like that. I think in college, a whole bunch of people think they should get out of school and work a 9 to 5 or like, you know, I don't know. I really don't like how people push other people to do the 9 to 5 thing. Like if I say I want to do film and I want to like get gigs, like I don't think there's an issue with that. I know people have to make a living and this and that, but if you're getting gig after gig, it's you're gonna be okay. I know people that's here by themselves, living in like a 1 bedroom apartment, doing gigs for production. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't know. I think college should just tell everybody to do what they want to do instead of pushing them in one direction.
I think that's such a great thought and sentiment there, and yeah, I feel like by the time that you finish college, like because you have spent up to potentially like 4 years or so, a little more, a little less, depending on who you are, but you know, but it's just like all about preparing for your future. But the question is, what is my future? I've been doing this for for the past few years, so yeah, I like though that you've just been able to take everything and run with it, make it your own. And how long would you say it took you, like after getting to Atlanta? Because I know you already had your position, your position set, but but how long did it take you to really get adjusted to the lifestyle? Because I know you mentioned it was an adjustment going from even full time college work to to your job after graduation, being a waitress. But how was it, switching from you know from Virginia as a waitress to then as doing production work and social media work and in Atlanta in the matter of days? Because I'm sure that must have been at least uh interesting time to experience for you.
Yeah, I had a week off of like doing anything right when I moved here. And then the first production I did was for the Sonic commercial. And that was like 12, 14-hour days, which was really crazy. I was like, is this what I want to do? But at the end of it, I was like, I did have a lot of fun. I learned a lot of things. I met a whole bunch of people in film. And then that got me my next gig. And then after that, I met people, this and that. And then I got my next gig. So I don't know, just it was fine. After I got used to it. But in the beginning, I was like, 12-hour days? I don't know.
Well, at least you're able to have like one of your heavier experiences early on, so at least you could get adjusted to it and not like be thrown into a whirlwind. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
But and did you expect like the process to be as long and tedious for some of them as you had anticipated?
I knew it was going to be long days, but the last day of shooting, you have to clean up and everything. I did not know I was going to be there till I think I was there until I want to say almost 12 a.m. So I was working, we got there at like 9. And I was like, when are we leaving? Like we were cleaning up. I'm like, is it almost time to go? Am I cleaning this up too? It was just a lot, but I got used to it. I think I'll be fine on the next one.
Well, that is all great, to hear. And I mean, I'm glad it's been like a fun learning experience over, these past few months. And I can't wait to, to even hear about what you're going to do, in the future and in the years to come.
Yes, thank you. open up a lot of stuff. So hopefully I get there.
Yeah, I definitely hope that everyone checks out all the amazing work that you're doing. And speaking of which, for anyone who's tuned in here, if anyone wants to check you out online, where's the best place for them to do so, or perhaps even check out your portfolio if you have one?
Yeah, so I have it in my LinkedIn and on my Instagram bio. And my Instagram is underscore queen, but with a V. So QVEEN and then underscore KEYYY.
Perfect. So I hope everyone, be sure to follow you and to check out all the amazing stuff that you're doing both now and in the future. And yeah, and so I guess as we begin closing out, so what would you say, to leave out our discussion, what would you say would be a closing thought that you'd like to leave us with, whether it be a inspirational thought, life lesson, favorite quote, whatever the case may be, the floor is all yours, Kiannah.
Yeah, I want to say to people in college to not be pressured to follow their peers or their professor's advice. I want everybody to be their own person, go their own path. There's never a wrong way in life. If you want to work a 9 to 5, work a 9 to 5. If you want to work a 10 to 2, work a 10 to 2. If you want to work in a restaurant, if you want to work at Walmart, if you want to work at McDonald's, there's no wrong. Do what you want to do in life and don't be peer pressured to work somewhere you don't want to work.
I think that's just such a great closing message. Thank you so much, Kiannah, for coming on the show and for speaking with us again. It's so great speaking with you, and definitely keep in touch.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. For those watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in as always, and I cannot wait for you all to tune in next week as we continue on our mission to bring people together. I'll see y'all later. Take care.